Okay, Melanie, let's see where we're at. Here are my iconic American actor stamps. All right, let's go take a look. I've got your PDF open, so let's just go ahead and jump right over there. Okay, the first thing I want to say is this is some of the best work I've seen while teaching this class. These are gorgeous, nice work. The learning here is off the hook. I mean, you're really showing an excellent proficiency in this technique. Outstanding. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at each individual. The first thing I want to mention is that don't forget the words iconic American entertainer needs to be placed on each one of these stamps. Um, so that could affect the way that you have things situated. Now, if we take a look here, over here, we see that this one does have the signature, and it does have the forever, and it does have the iconic American entertainers. The reason that's all able to fit there is that the actual background color has been extended to the perforations of the stamp. Not extending the background color to the perforations of the stamp really frames the illustrations beautifully, and it's a really nice illustrative technique. However, it does reduce the amount of area you have here for the type. So that's something that you're going to have to work out. So in a real world situation would be something like this. Your client says, you say to your client, well, I can add iconic American entertainers by extending the color to the background. And your client saying, no, I like the white frame. So as a designer, you would have to figure out how to fit iconic American entertainers into these postage stamps. That's a real world situation. An easy fix for the assignment is to extend the color, but I mean, you take that as far as you want, okay? Um, I would say the best practice for you at this point would be to keep the frame and try to figure out how to fit the typography. And that very much mimics a real world issue. That's why I mentioned that. Okay, tonal variations, skin tones, highlights and shadows are absolutely gorgeous. Nice work. One thing I will say is that, well, I'll go through each one individually, but we see that as a series, I think that right now, the hair, Robert De Niro's hair, is a little bit more advanced than the others. Well, the other that have hair anyway. So you might try to continue adding a little bit of highlight to the hair, a little bit of texture to the hair, just to kind of you know, adhere to what you've got established here. Um, okay, let's go through each individual. Good job adding the signatures. I think that's a really neat visual embellishment. I think it really adds a lot of engagement. So the one thing I would say is that one thing you want to try to do is, as a series, you want to kind of try to make sure each one of these kind of consumes the same uh, area in the picture plane. So the spatial relationships from the portrait to the picture plane are pretty much very close on each one. And the reason I say that is we can see that a way to look at that, a good way to look at that is to say, okay, each one is situated in front of a camera and they're all at the same position, so that they're the same distance from the focal plane, which means that they would take up the same area within this picture plane, right? But we see Dwayne here is a little bit further away as he is much smaller in that picture frame, indicating that he would be farther from the focal plane, right? So my recommendation would be increase the size. So zoom him in, increase the size, scale him up a little bit so he takes up about the same space. And same thing here. I think that as opposed to increasing his size so his head is about the same size as Robin's, you may consider backing off a little bit on these and just kind of coming to a happy medium. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. As far as each individual goes, I think that right now the eyes, everything looks great, but there's a couple of areas. Like the eyes, I think will really add a lot of drama to the eyes if you were to take a little bit of a black stroke or a dark brown stroke, a shade of the skin tone, and just go through and add kind of like eyeliner, so to speak. We can see that right there. See, there's a little darkness around the contour lines of the eyes themselves. We can see it right here as well here, and in these examples as well. And I think another really great idea is to add eyelashes. They don't have done nothing prominent, just enough. We can see it right here. And if you want to take a look at that, those little eyelashes right through the glasses are fantastic. Will doesn't have eyelashes, but it really, I think it adds a lot of visual engagement to the eyes and a lot of contrast to that area. The eyes are where the viewer is going to look first, right? Okay, also, right over here, I try to give some detail in the teeth instead of just filling. See that little shadow area, but instead of just filling the mouth with white, try to give a little detail. in the teeth. And we see that right here. Gorgeous, right? Gorgeous right there. Also see it right here in Will Smith. And I believe we see it a little bit in Maryland. I mean, that's just, right now, that's a really minimal. This would be ideal, something like this. But what you don't want is just to fill the mouth with white. It's too stark. It draws too much attention to that area. Okay, that's Dwayne. Over here, Robin looks great. Fantastic. Really beautiful. Nice job. Same comments though, eye contrast, etc. Right, Robert looks fantastic, but I think right now that the difference between the tonal variations between the shadows and the highlights is a little much. It kind of results in almost looking like a little bit like face paint. So we want to reduce that range a little bit. And then here, Tom Hanks, we've got a lot of detail over through here, but we're losing all the detail right here. So just because that's in a shadow area doesn't mean that we wouldn't have these kind of facial lines, these little facial lines. I think one of the smartest things you did is use a value of the parent skin tone to establish these contour lines in the face, these facial characteristics. I think that's really super interesting, as opposed to using black, which is just too stark. Robin's mouth, I think, is a little underdeveloped. You might want to work on that. And then also Tom Hanks, as a designer, I can look at a lot of pieces, a lot of student work and design work, and I can say, okay, I know why this designer made this decision. And something like that, you, as an experienced designer, will see right through a lot of the decisions that you make. If the decisions are not made on sound design principles and elements. And the reason I say that is right here. It's to me, it's very obvious that Tom Hanks is pushed over to the right in the frame in order to fit his signature. So that leaves too much space over here, and it also leaves him a little off balance when compared to the center alignment of all the others. Now, Dwayne is a little over to the left, but that's cool. I mean, that's interesting because he's not pushed over. Now, Tom is pushed over to the right to the point where it's like, okay, wow, why is he so far to the right? And I think the reason is to fit that signature in there. So what you could consider doing here is maybe darkening the shirt a little bit, moving him over, and so that the signature also is seen in the actual over the shirt itself. So a couple of different elements there that you want to consider. Okay, I hope my comments make sense. I mean, I think one other thing I would say is that we have this wonderful development of the eyebrows in De Niro and Robin Williams, but then Dwayne and Tom Hanks just kind of have just no detail, just that shape. Okay, so consider that. All right. I'm going to tell you something. This is fantastic work so far. Just gorgeous. Really nice job. You should be proud of yourself. I think you're really doing justice to this technique. All right. So where are we? Melanie, any questions, comments, concerns at all? Please let me know. If there's anything you want to run by me between now and Sunday, I'm more than glad to provide additional comments, but you are well on your way to a very, very successful presentation. Thank you very much.